to the 1873 radio, your voice, your power. And this afternoon I happen to be at the Michelangelo Towers, joined by Acie Lumumba, also known as Lumumba, the man behind Viva Zimbabwe. And what we are here today to discuss is relatively the issues that are affecting many young Zimbabweans who happen to be in Zimbabwe as well as across the globe. And those issues are unemployment, inequality, as well as the cash crisis that we are currently facing, and many others to mention. So based on that, as friends of Shabane Mashaba Mines, who have taken a keen interest to know what actually transpired to Shabane Mashaba Mines, we are also educating one another with Acie Lumumba as to what happened to Shabane Mashaba Mines, what could have been, what is, and what could be of the company. Because this issue not only affects the people within Shabane, but it's a matter that affects many young Zimbabweans who grew up knowing the company to be a big company that employed 10,000 people at its peak and 100,000 livelihoods depending on it. And today it has been on its knees, if I could put it that way. So the most important factor that we are going to start looking at would be the acquisition of Shabane Mashaba Mines. Many claim that a guarantee was issued by government for Shabane Mashaba Mines to be acquired, and the Justice Minister then, Patrick Chinamasa, as well as the Indigenization Minister, Patrick Joao, have on several occasions mentioned that a guarantee was issued. So those are the issues that we will be looking at and discussing with Acie Lumumba. Mr. Lumumba, good afternoon.
Look, thank you for having me. I came to have this conversation because I am in solidarity with friends of SMM. There are real issues here that we need to delve into, not for the purpose of understanding them, but for the purpose of also solving them. You highlighted on the issue of acquisition. The story of SMM has now become the story of missed opportunities. What essentially happened is in 1996, on March the 7th, the acquisition took place, where this was a private transaction between private players. But then you find by 2005, government was giving a record of their interference into this transaction. Note that the transaction had caused 10,000 jobs to be created directly. About another 100,000 people were benefiting as a result of those 10,000 jobs, or as a result of the mine being in operation. This all went into a wash because of missed opportunities or bad decisions that government took. So the trouble here, you've got two problems. The first problem you have is government has demonstrated its failure to respect property rights. The second problem you have is government has demonstrated its inability to solve the problem. Intrinsically, inside these two issues, you now have a president who is the sitting head of the country, who we all have a right to be protected by, failing to protect us. In Mr. Mawere's case, when the two problems occurred, where government interfered or government failed to solve the problem, he should have been able to go to his president and say, Mr. President, can you help me? But the trouble is the president, being advised by his ministers or his advisors, fails to solve the problem. So what now do we do as a country? How do we move going forward? And this is why I'm very interested in this matter as Viva Zimbabwe, because when we come onto the scene, priority in our economic policy is government has to get out of the way, because we are too much in the way. You don't shut down a business that's a livelihood to 10,000 people and the indirect livelihood to 100,000 people, which is essentially what government has done. In 2005, when Chinamasa went into Parliament, he told Parliament, he lied to Parliament on record, and he said that Mawere had gotten the mine as a result of a government guarantee. Now, this was never the case, because the paper trail is evident that this transaction was done between three companies, who exchanged money for product. Joao then comes on in his article in the Sunday Mail, and he highlights that they are speculative political entrepreneurs, where he again targets Mawere as someone who was only intending to benefit from politics through this mine that he had benefited through a political channel, and that was never the case. So I say that to say that we have to solve the problem of government being in the way of business and government failing to solve the problems that they have created. Today, SMM sits idle. There is no one who goes to work there. It's under an administrator who gets paid more than the company actually makes.
You found out that you mentioned that there are documents available, and these documents are available courtesy of friends of SMM. Mr. Lumumba, you happen to be a man who has been able to speak out of many untold truths about Zimbabwe, and you found out the many young people within friends of SMM have actually they have knowledge, and knowledge holds a promise. Knowledge is power. They are failing to actually share this knowledge that they are holding with the rest of Zimbabweans, with the rest of the world, because this matter does not only affect Zimbabweans, it also affects foreign nationals who would want to come and invest in Zimbabwe. So, looking at this document, what can we actually go through the document as far as what Chinamasa said in Parliament, saying that Mawere used a government guarantee to acquire Shabane Mashaba Mines?
Of course, I mean, we have the document open here, and I quote Chinamasa. He says, and this is Chinamasa in Parliament, he says Mawere did not use any savings, but he used government guarantees to purchase the company. That very statement alone is filled with inaccuracies, because this is not what happened. Because the paper trail of the transaction on how the acquisition actually took place is also evident, that it was between three companies that had a willing buyer and a willing seller. The worry I have is, and I want to discuss this on this platform with SMM, is if Chinamasa can lie once and not repent, what stops him from lying again? This is a man who we have now trusted to go and borrow money on behalf of all of us to the rest of the world, and he's promising them he's going to use this money as part of the economic reform or resuscitation plan of the country. How do we know? If he can do this to one company, what stops him from doing it to the next? So SMM is simply or typically an example of what is wrong with our government. They say things they have no intention of doing, and they take things that are not theirs for pure personal gain. This takeover by government has done absolutely nothing for the country, but has totally derailed the lives of Zimbabweans.
So judging from Chinamasa's statement or utterances in Parliament itself, does this go on to show us that Zimbabwe, or the government of Zimbabwe, is run based on lies and rumors?
Well, I mean, it goes to show us that this man and these situations are carried out under the pretext of lies. That's what it goes to show us. You know, you can't blanket a lie and say everything is a lie, but you can definitely demonstrate that in this regard, that has to do with SMM, lies were being proffered to the country, lies were being proffered to the president, and decisions are being made on the set of facts provided to the president. And if this is the set of facts, the president goes with the wrong set of facts and he makes the wrong call for the country.
We have looked at what Chinamasa actually said in Parliament, and this is based on a parliamentary extract. This Chinamasa said in 2005, that is on the 20th of July, and we happen to be in the year 2016, 11 years since he made these utterances. This lie still stands, and this is a man we have entrusted with the country's money by being appointed the Minister of Finance. We go on further to look at the extract from the Sunday Mail of the 24th of November 2015, where the Minister of Youth, Indigenization and Empowerment, Patrick Joao, also uttered a similar statement that Mawere acquired SMM using a government guarantee, and the extract from that particular article in the Sunday Mail newspaper reads, "One such speculative political entrepreneur emerged in the 1990s and was able to secure a government guarantee to buy a mining house. He was even offered a very senior position within one of ZANU-PF's provincial executive committees, and he declined." What do you have to say to that?
Look, Joao knows a lot about deal making, and he knows a lot about taking things that are not his. His farm is full of cattle that he has stolen from surrounding farmers. So this is a man who knows how to embezzle other people's properties and has no regard to property law or property rights. In this instance, he is trying to demonstrate political prowess by undermining a legitimate case against another Zimbabwean, which is you have taken something away that he has worked so hard for, and you've actually run it down. The SPE he's referring to is SMM, or rather Mutumwa Mawere, to be more attentive. And there is a lot of correspondence you find between Mutumwa Mawere and Joao in regard to this matter, where he is being offered a provincial position, Mutumwa Mawere, that is, and he turns it down. But you should never, the day you need to belong to a political party to participate is the day we run into all sorts of problems. Because does it mean if I'm not in your political party then I cannot participate? Should that be the criteria of benefit in a country that is democratic and free?
And to come think of it, Mutumwa Mawere, who when he was offered this position in ZANU-PF, he was not a member of ZANU-PF, and neither did he reside in Zimbabwe. He resided in South Africa. So why would he accept that position?
Yeah, I mean, look, again, it's also, ZANU-PF can also appoint you outside of the country because they have regional offices outside of Zimbabwe. But while it's very valid that he wasn't a member of the party, and that's his choice to make, it shouldn't be a condition anyway. There should be no such condition that be a member of this party if you want to benefit. Come on, you're Zimbabwean. You should simply be able to exercise all your freedoms because of the basis that you're Zimbabwean.
What we have actually discovered is that two cabinet ministers, they lied, reporting that a government guarantee was issued for the acquiring of the acquisition of SMM. Is this the view of the whole cabinet, that SMM was acquired using a government guarantee?
I think what we need to focus on is who is the affected. We should never focus on the public officials. We focus on the public itself. What we have realized is there are people who are now unemployed or now not receiving benefits as a result of decisions and advice that's being proffered by Mugabe's advisors, two particularly, Shinamasa and Joao. This is what the facts, or at least the document paper trail, shows us.
So basically, we have also managed to get to a point whereby we have realized what cabinet thinks of Shabane Mashaba Mines in essence, as well as Mugabe himself. He is of the view that Shabane Mashaba Mines was acquired using a government guarantee. So what we are going to do next, we want to dismiss this lie so that people can actually come to understand that Shabane Mashaba Mines was a deal that was made purely on a private basis. Three parties coming to an agreement, as you had stated earlier. As we go on through our documentation that we have, first of all, we have a date of agreement where an agreement took place as far as the acquisition itself was concerned. And this agreement took place on the 7th of March 1996. And what we would also want to understand after establishing the date of that agreement is who are those parties who were actually involved in this particular transaction. And those parties would be T&N International Limited, which was whose registered office was in Manchester, that is in the United Kingdom. The second party being T&N PLC, also whose registered office is in Manchester, the United Kingdom. And the third party, Africa Resources Limited, whose registered offices are in the British Virgin Islands, and this particular party happens to be the purchaser of Shabane Mashaba Mines from from T&N International Limited and T&N PLC. So, in this particular transaction, do you see any government representative involved?
It's clear that it's not there. It's very clear.
So we have actually established that there was no government representative involved as far as the agreement itself is concerned. And going further, having established who the parties involved in the transaction are, we also go further to establish the governing law itself. It clearly states this is from the agreement. This is an extract from the agreement. This agreement is governed by and shall be construed in accordance with English law, save that any warranty capable of applying to. What is your understanding of the governing law that was actually used, or yeah, I can basically say used as far as this acquisition was concerned?
My understanding is we were operating under the Roman Dutch law, which is now referred to as the common law.
That is Zimbabwe now.
That is Zimbabwe now.
Yes.
And law is guided by jurisdictions, by which code you follow based on where the deal is taking place. And I think where this transaction took place, the legal jurisdiction of this transaction was the English law. But more important than the jurisdiction of the law, it's who is in the deal, and that's what we've just gone to, which is the three parties. And again, government is not privy to that.
So we have managed to also establish that the law that are applied to as far as this acquisition is concerned is the English law, and clearly shows that there's no way the government of Zimbabwe or government representative of Zimbabwe could have been involved, and hence no government guarantee could be issued as far as the acquisition of SMM holdings was concerned. Well, what is your understanding of a memorandum of deposit and charge, Mr. Lumumba?
It's pretty much the deal. The day the deal got sealed, it's the guiding language or perimeter of what makes the deal stick, and that's what was done on the 15th day of March 1996 here.
So basically, this is a security document, if we were in essence.
Yeah.
And since this is a security document, it actually also confirms that no guarantee was issued at all. There is no need for a guarantee if there has to be, if there is a security guarantee. We can liken this to a title deed of a property, right? If you are going to borrow money at a bank and you produce a title deed or something like that,
right,
then obviously there would be no need for a government guarantee. So with this information that we have, and with these documents, we've managed to establish that, or we have managed to dismiss the fact that a guarantee, government issued guarantee, was availed for the acquisition of Shabane Mashaba Mines. And this clearly shows how Chinamasa and Joao lied to Parliament, and also how they have misrepresented facts, not only to Parliament but to Cabinet and the President as well. So as far as the memorandum of deposit of charge is also concerned, we are going to look at the parties also that were involved. Maybe you would care to just read out the parties for the benefit of our listeners as well as our viewers, so that they get to know that we are not also making up. These are documents that are readily available and which they can access, not from friends of SMM.
Look, you have Africa Resources Limited, you have Africa Construction Limited, and you have T&L being the third or creditor party involved in the transaction. with the other two being the buyer. And those are the three parties involved.
Africa Construction Limited is the shareholder, TNN is the creditor. So you ask yourself, if TNN is the creditor, is TNN government? Is it the government of Zimbabwe? No, it's not the government of Zimbabwe. And you wonder, where does the government guarantee come into all this? And the signatories themselves involved in the memorandum of deposit and charge, there are only two signatories, if I can put it that way. The first one signed for SMM Holdings Limited. This is Mr. Mawere's signature, Mutumwa Mawere's signature, as well as signed by for THZ Holdings Limited is Mutumwa Mawere, and signed by for TNN PLC. I cannot clearly get the name, but this also just goes to show you that no government representative was involved in the signing of this MDC, if you could put it that way, the memo of deposit of charge in charge. Having looked at the signatures themselves that are and the parties that are involved, if we go on second, it clearly states where this document was signed and when it was executed. It was executed as a deed by Africa Resources Limited and acting by MD Mawere and JP Mukushi, acting under the authority of that company in the presence of Manikai. And Manikai, did you know that Manikai happens to be a lawyer who was involved in this transaction?
He's the senior partner to Ben Manikai.
Definitely, that's him. And he happens also to be the man who, if in any case, would advise whether this was a bad transaction or not.
Right.
Yes. So also helping us to dismiss the fact that a government guarantee was issued is a witness statement, and that witness statement was signed on the 26th of October in the year 2007 by Mr. Mutumwa Mawere, and this was done in the United Kingdom. What was the witness statement all about? It was in the matter of SMM Holdings Limited and in the matter of THZ Holdings Limited and in the matter of the Companies Act of 1985, where AMG Global nominees and were the defendant, and SMM Holdings Limited as well as THZ Holdings Limited were defendants, and Africa Resources Limited being the claimant, and this was partook in the courts of the United Kingdom. So this brings us to the conclusion that a government guarantee was not issued at all, and to the conclusion that the government of Zimbabwe operates on lies and they operate on rumors. That brings us to the close of this discussion, but before we round up this discussion, maybe Mr. Lumumba, what do you have to say pertaining to all this information that we have revealed?
Again, I'd say two things. There's a set of facts that have been provided which show that government formed by ZANU-PF undermines private and property rights, and until we fix that, we're headed nowhere. Investors need to be able to be confident that if they bring their money into the country, their money stays. Second of all, it's how do we create a recourse for this? How do we fix this problem now that it's there? Once ZANU-PF is out of government and Viva Zimbabwe takes over government, we need to ensure we give everybody back what belongs to them, but most importantly, we allow it to begin creating jobs for the people in the country. I am not concerned about who owns what. I am concerned that the people of Zimbabwe are the benefactors, not government, not an individual. And in this case, the people are the biggest loser.
Thank you so much, Mr. Acie Lumumba, for your time, and to Viva Zimbabwe. We wish you all the best in your endeavors. If you want to know more about this SMM matter, it's very simple. All you have to do is become friends of SMM. Thank you.
Okay, now can we do mine? Because mine is very short. I want to fit. See, I want.